The COVID-19 pandemic has dealt a blow to an already fragile global economic outlook. And on top of that, ongoing China-US trade tensions have impacted economies worldwide. CNA's In Conversation finds out more from India's former central bank governor.
Isn't a trade war between the US and China the very last thing that the world needs right now?
Well, it's all kinds of conflict building up, right? It's not just trade, it's investment. There is some sort of poking around on the strategic side. Yeah, it's the last thing we need, more escalation of a conflict between the two largest economies in the world. There's no good time for such a conflict, but this is probably one of the worst times.
Well, estimates also show that COVID-19 could push millions into extreme poverty. It could effectively wipe out progress that was made since 2017.
Isn't that, though, a real tragedy? Because so much of the incredible progress of lifting people out of poverty over the last 20 years, is that going to be knocked back?
Absolutely. This virus is sort of an anti-Robin Hood. It hits the poor even harder on every front than the rich. The worry here is not of a year or two, which we talked about earlier, but of a lost decade.
Well, governments around the world are acting decisively to protect business and people from the pandemic, but what's at stake?
Are we all digging a hole of debt that is going to be very, very difficult to climb out of again, because many of these stimulus packages don't even have any promise of repayment? It's been taken out of the coffers, but there's no promise that it's going to be put back in.
I mean, almost surely this debt will not be paid by our generation. It is going to be paid by future generations. And what is worrisome is we're not making that calculus that, in fact, we have to obviously preserve the productive capacity of the economy, because that's going to be handed over to the next generations. But we also need to ask, well, how much pain are we willing to take ourselves?
You can watch the full interview on In Conversation. That's tomorrow at 9 p.m. Singapore, Hong Kong time.